Well, I don't know. The last place I worked at, the last serious job I had, I was suddenly told I was going to do it by a very loud person who just didn't seem to be my father. My dad just didn't shout like that. It was bizarre. I'd asked him to try to get me a job there twice. He said, "You don't want to work there." Suddenly came in, bawling, shouting, "You go in there as soon." Well, it was basically the next day, whether you like it or not. And nobody really realised exactly what I thought was going on there. I'd said something a few days after I started about some of the workers, including two senior managers, and it wasn't expected. I didn't expect it to get back to the factory because it was in front of my close family. But they found out somehow. I don't know how. But obviously, it would be hilarious to them, the workforce, that I'd said this about the management. And they continued it as a joke. Well, is that Mama being diplomatic? I don't know really what happened. But I thought I'd upset terrorists and the 250 to 300 men I was being forced to face every day. Well, I believed them. I think I did believe they were terrorists, but I mean, a lot of them were a lot bigger than me, and I wasn't exactly happy or I didn't feel safe. And some of the things that were scrawled on the toilet wall and were said to me about what operations I had to do, you wouldn't have done it anyway. So I don't know. It could have been a joke that was sort of got out of hand, and because somebody said to me like quite a few years later, jokes can go bad, they can go wrong. I don't know. I mean, was I being prepared for something which I wouldn't have been able to withstand anyway? And they should have known that, but they didn't. They don't seem to care. I mean, I want to. Well, obviously, in here, I can't remember because I'd been left after I left that place. I couldn't tolerate any more of what was going on, and I was unemployed for about 3.5 years. My mother said she'd get me a job. I still wanted a job. I just thought, well, if you're going to treat me like that here, I'll go somewhere else. And Dad was going to kick me out into the snow, and I went to a city. It wasn't a bad one really, but I came home because I got homesick. But yeah, I mean, I came home and he kicked me out quite a few times, but not into the snow, and eventually just stopped doing it because I think he realised that I was upset about something, but I wouldn't talk about it because I mean, life depended on it, so you don't talk about it, do you? I don't think I ever did tell him. And he would have been pretty upset if I had, and he would, at the time, just sort of said, don't talk baloney, it's a load of flipping Tommy Rot. You're wrong. He wouldn't have listened, but it doesn't matter whether it was right or wrong. I believed it. I can't remember because I started to think along that. Was it while I was sat at home because I couldn't get a job? I started to think about it. I can't remember now. But, well, I've forgotten what I was going on about this fella, but yeah. I've said to them, they rang me from the benefits office a few weeks ago, and I told them that's why what happened at that factory, and I've struggled to get to work ever since. And I mean, I have had 21 jobs since I was 13, if you include the 4 rounds on the milk round, the round I had while I was at college, and the driver's round. I did all the rounds and an extra one as well at a paper round before that, and since then. That's what, 6 jobs. I think I've had 15 since then. I can't quite remember because that includes like a day traffic census on a local dual carriageway. That was the job complete. That was all I had to do. There are other jobs like that I've included, and some of them I've forgotten. That doesn't include voluntary work because I've only really had one proper voluntary job, and I went for quite a while. And it was again, it's possibly lack of practice or out the habit. I just couldn't keep going. And I said to her, she was kind of a social worker who was involved with employment and finding things to do. And I said that to her, and she just said, "Okay, just don't bother if you can't do it, don't do it." And there's someone else who said to me to support her because she had the whole of Hambleton to do. Had a lot of people to sort out like that, and I did my best. I couldn't really do any more. I haven't done any since then. There's an Heritage Railway I've been to a few times, and apparently they don't want me now because I'm just not reliable enough. Although there may be something strange going on there, I'm not sure. Maybe something that may have made someone else a lot of money, but not me, and I've been told this, so I don't believe them when they tell me I'll make a lot of money. Because, well, if you sign a contract and you're not sure whether you're going to get paid, you don't sign the contract. So I said that to a neighbour, and he didn't look happy about it. But well, you've got to be sensible, haven't you? You've got to be realistic. If you're signing your life away or whatever, you don't do it. I mean, if you've heard people are tricked into these contracts and then they read the small print, which is usually invisible, and there's a clause in that you can't get out of it. Yeah, Hotel California, innit? If you can read what's going on there, which I sat and thought about because that was often played at a nightclub I was going to in the 80s, and I realised what it was about. You're in a contract that you can't get out of, and it's not a good contract anyway. So I wouldn't go anywhere near anything like that. It's just not worth doing. And I've heard that about other areas of the entertainment industry. It's not worth doing. I don't trust them now because I've been lied to. I was conned into that job. I wanted the job, but suddenly I was bullied into it. I was bullied out the one before, which my mother may have been involved with. I don't know, because apparently she doesn't have a cousin called Bill or Billy, but then there's Billy Bob, who's an artist. I'd never heard of him until recently, and I was originally artistic. I don't know whether it was age that caused it, but I was bullied as well till my hair fell out. There seems to be a family trait in one end of the family. But I was bullied until I couldn't express myself, and at the school I went to, they weren't really bothered if you didn't have a posh accent and you didn't sound like a doctor. They just thought you were an ordinary kid, and you wouldn't be able to do much. But I mean, I don't know, it could be an age thing that I became shy, because that happens. It was before adolescence, so you wouldn't expect it, but I don't know. I mean, at one point I was pretty good at art, and I was quite commended for it, and I had to stand up in front of the class and read a story out that I'd read. But some of me creative side like that, making up, well, in creative, you see, I struggle for words now. Is it fiction, writing fiction? I can sometimes do it and sometimes I can't, because life's taught me how to do it again, but I don't know. I mean, is it worth worrying about? I mean, engineering, there aren't many opportunities for somebody now, like my age now, and most of my knowledge is well out of date, because it was 88 I left college. Yeah, I've started again with cars, but it's getting beyond me at times, and so is everything else. I don't know, I'm probably too old for it all, and that's going to go. Well, I was talking to a lady in a shop last night, a checkout lady, and she was saying she'd been unemployed for 20 years. She applied for that job there, and she got it straight away. I said, well, that's pretty good. Because the last serious job I had was sweeping up and cleaning ink off litho plates, basically. And you got the ink on your hands and it wouldn't come off. It was all over your overalls and everything. 286 an hour was it? I took the job because I got disability working allowance, so I got about 96 quid a week for 17 hours, which was worth doing. But the thing was, they put my hours up, so my pay went up, but I ended up losing out. I was working longer hours and not getting paid as much, and it just wasn't worth doing. I mean, they said to me when I first went there, if this isn't going to be more than your benefits, don't accept the job. But it was more than my benefits. So I was starting to lose out, because the hourly rate was so low. When I started working more hours, I was losing DWA, was it? And it was my income was going down, so it wasn't worth doing. I mean, I don't think I gave a reason when I went back to DHSS, other than I can't remember. I can't remember what I told them, but I lost benefit for doing that. But I mean, they owe me anyway, because when I left the York Trailers, the trailer factory, I wouldn't explain why. I wouldn't give them a reason for leaving, because I didn't want to break anybody's marriage up because of what I'd said. Could have done that, and you know, I wouldn't tell them why. So I should have had half benefits for 6 months, but 3.5 years later, I was still on half benefits, which shouldn't have happened, but it did. And actually, I've since found out that the staff I was frightened about upsetting knew exactly what I was talking about anyway. They'd come across all that before, so I wasn't protecting them. But now I can do now. I mean, there was somebody at that office. I was owed money because I hadn't been paid the right amount of money because of the benefits. Was it originally after 18 months on sickness benefit, you got an extra £50 a week, and there was something else like that. And I think I got £1,200 because it was all back. Most of it, I got most of it because there was quite a few months of that. But I put that into national insurance contributions because I was told, I hadn't paid them for years while I was unemployed. I'd underpaid on them, so I put 1,200 quid into national insurance contributions because my pension's going to be rubbish anyway if I actually get one, because some say we won't have them when I retire. I don't know, but that's the thing. I put most of that into contributions, and apparently when the course I was on, the Back to Work course, they gave you £10 extra a week but took it out of your contributions. I don't know whether that's true, but Well, it can't have been such a bad idea to put that £1,200 into contributions, because I'll only get a state pension. Yeah, I could probably do entertainment or whatever, but my mind won't do it. It's not tough enough. And that's the thing. I've heard they don't earn as much money as they claim, and all sorts, so I just don't want to know. An ordinary job would run this place, and that's about all I can achieve, but it's getting to work. I mean, after 21 jobs and the things that have gone wrong, I can't even face it. The last place I was at, it was a place of care. I was going to do an HNC, and they said, if you can't get up on the first day, we'll knock you up, and they didn't bother, because they just said, we knew you couldn't do it. Is that negative? Well, I don't know, really. I don't know. Because I struggle to get to work now. I mean, I think work or college, I can't get out of bed. Wouldn't that be normal for anybody who's had 21 jobs and all the rest? I don't know.